Hey there, retail tech enthusiasts. Welcome to the Rising Stars podcast, your go-to source for all things retail technology and the ever-evolving world of point of sale. I'm your host, Kate Orara, Partner Development Manager at Micronics, and I am thrilled to be your guide on this exciting journey. Here at Rising Stars, we're not just keeping up with the trends, we're setting them. We dive deep into the tech landscape with global industry leaders, unpacking strategies and discussing the latest innovations that shape the future of retail IT. Whether you're a tech aficionado, a business owner, or just curious about the dynamic world of retail, this podcast is your backstage pass to insider knowledge. And hey, it's not just about the tech, it's about the community. Join me and the Micronics team as we lead and innovate, shaping a brighter future for the retail, hospitality, and cannabis industries, as well as beyond. Together, we rise. So hit that subscribe button, stay in the loop, and let's make waves in the retail tech space. This is the Rising Stars podcast, where innovation meets inspiration. Let's rise together. All right. Well, welcome everybody back to the Rising Stars podcast. I'm really excited to bring our next guest onto this episode. It's David Soden with Aptimyz. David, how are you?
I'm great. I'm great today, Kate. And yourself?
Can't complain. It's Friday. We are recording this on Friday, May 3rd. So I got a busy couple of weekends up ahead. I've got I got a soccer tournament for both my kids this weekend, and lots. I probably will need a weekend from my weekend after come Monday, but we'll see.
Yeah, they're few and far between these days.
Yeah, one of these days we'll get the 3-day we asked for a 3-day weekend, and then we'll end up saying that's not enough. We need a 4-day weekend, and
yeah.
There's never enough.
We have a bank holiday this weekend in Ireland, so yeah. We look forward to it.
And I guess so. Everybody that's listening or watching, as you can tell, David is not from the United States, based on how he is speaking. So you are based. You're based out of where?
Dublin, in Ireland.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, no, we've been based here. We launched the business over here, and then moved into the UK, and subsequently into Canada, and now the US. So it's been a journey.
One of these days, I'd love to make it over to Ireland. I'd love to do Ireland and Scotland. I have been to England and the London thing, but I know there's so many wonderful countries and history over there. So one of these days, I definitely love to travel. So maybe I have to do
Make sure you do.
Yeah. Well, I'll quit rambling, but what I'd love to do, David, is if you could maybe tell our audience a little bit about yourself, your history in the channel and in technology, and maybe just kind of a little bit about Aptimyz.
No problem. I suppose it's a colorful history in terms of I didn't have the most natural way to end up where I am today, but I historically spent the majority of my career actually in the pharmaceutical industry. I worked in big pharma in sales and marketing. Before that, in college, I did electronic engineering. So, towards the end of my time in pharma, I was looking to kind of go out on my own, and I was looking at a few different options. We came across retail as a sector, or fashion in particular. We looked at fashion first. And then kind of as that went on, we went into the retail side of things. It was actually, it was a nice turn of events. As of last week, we were actually in London at the RTS show, actually on the Micronics stand. And it dawned on me that 6 years ago, myself and my wife actually went to the same event, just as visitors, to get a feel for what we needed to look at. And from that event, we actually had selected Micronics and Spacepole as the two that we thought would be a great option to go with if we were to do what we wanted to do. This was before we'd registered anything or built any code or anything like that. So yeah, we then obviously decided, for whatever reason, we went with Clover with sales and distribution, and the platform was there. In Ireland, it was easy for us to actually get up and running with their partners here, AAB Merchant Services. So we went that route, and then all these years later, now we're full back circle and we're actually on the actual Star Micronics stand, which was it was a nice journey to kind of get that last week as we launched into the new stage with Aptimyz. So there you go.
Wow, so you have quite the history, and it's something near and dear to my heart. You said you're an electrical engineer. My husband's also an electrical engineer,
Oh,
so I totally can
yeah.
I can relate
Yeah,
somewhat.
yeah.
Well, I would love, so you talked about RTS, which is a retail technology show for those that are listening that are not familiar with the show in Europe. And you said it was in London. I would love if maybe you could provide an overview of that groundbreaking iPad solution that Aptimyz unveiled at the show last month.
Yeah, the launch of the iPad, Aptimyz the iPad, really, it's a significant milestone for us, and it's about our commitment to delivering more innovation for our customers. You know, the changes that are happening in retail all the time means that we need to be able to be responsive, and I think by bringing the iPad Aptimyz to the iPad, it just makes it easier for merchants to actually get set up, take this on in a very cost-effective manner. And actually, the iPad gets mentioned, but the reality is that it's the whole overall package, which, partnering with Star Micronics, with Spacebowl, it enables that whole package to be given in a really effective manner to merchants. So it was a really exciting place to go and actually have this new phase launched with you guys on the stand in London. So yeah, we're really, really excited about what this brings.
I hear a lot about the need for flexibility. It's great that I think that you having a solution that addresses those needs, because I hear it all the time. Like retailers are looking for a flexible solution, not some sort of canned software or some canned solution for their particular establishment. They want something that is customizable, because not everybody they want to run their business the same way. And it seems to me that you guys have that type of capability.
Well, it's funny. Yeah, we weren't sure at the start how to go with kind of, there's the whole how do we price this? How do we package this? And so on. So, and you see a huge amount of that, like to refer back to what you've just said, you see a huge amount of, restrictive pricing models, which say, oh, you can have this many users and this much inventory and this much. And then in a way, I just thought the most important thing is to actually get people in using your software. So we try to make it, so what we have today is really an unlimited retail package. What we do is we charge by location, but when you take our software, you get everything. So you get the reporting, unlimited inventory, it's unlimited everything really, e-commerce syncing, the whole lot. So it really doesn't restrict so they can come in, it's like a buffet, they can pick and choose what they want to take from the software package, as opposed to being stuck and then having to buy, which I think is very unfair, and especially in the SMB sector with the smaller guys, like they fight to survive every day. And they want to know that if they have someone come in and help them, which is what we're supposed to be doing, that it's transparent and clear for them.
Absolutely. So outside of the flexibility the flexibility aspect that Aptimyz provides, what specific challenges or pain points does your iPad solution aim to address, and how does it enhance the retail experience for both the consumers and the staff?
So the iPad on its own doesn't do that. What it does is it's again, so we've got other bits and pieces that are moving at the moment, and we're about to release a whole bunch of features. Seamless integration with machine learning. So we've got a new integration module with and particularly in this case for inventory. So for example, in the model that we provide with the iPad with our software, we also have the payments built into this as well. So you have, in this case, our partners with Fiserv. And Fiserv, Fiserv, a lot of people, because I'm from pharma, think it's Pfizer, but it's an
glad you spelled that out.
yeah. But Fiserv are an amazing company to deal with. They process 1 in 2 of the world's credit card transactions. They're enormous. So in Ireland, obviously, AIB Merchant Services, I mentioned, that's a joint venture with Fiserv, with AIB. In the UK, you've got Lloyd's Cardnet. who are, again, Lloyd's Bank with Fiserv JV. So when we go into the different regions, we have these like first-in-class payments companies that we can actually partner with, and they offer the best deals possible for merchants. So what you find is, before there was payments and then there was POS, and a lot of companies, like you see Shopify, have gone from just like e-commerce point of sale to now having payments as well. You have Lightspeed doing the same, and it's really expensive. It's really, really expensive. If you're a small store doing like 250, 300,000 a year in turnover, it's still a significant chunk of your overall bottom line profits that you're having to pay out for these services. So effectively, the iPad is part of the next step for us to be able to, leverage the kind of, bring in a real flexible solution for merchants where it's cost effective and it's easy for them to install. A lot of our competitors had already made the move to iPad. So it's not that this is a first thing for us, and we're aware of that. And we did have to make that step. But the way we've done it is with the new inventory module that we're just about to launch with the machine learning capabilities, we can automatically consume the inventory exports from our competitors and upload them straight into Aptimyz, which is a huge barrier for actually merchants who are thinking about making that move, because they know that they can save money, but there's also the pain of actually lifting and shifting. So we've actually reduced that barrier as well, which I think is really, our team are really excited about that. It's been a lot of sleepless nights over the last 6 months building the software to do this, but in the end, it's always worth it once it's out there live. So yeah.
Absolutely. It's a lot of test and retest and getting feedback. Yeah. I can appreciate that for sure. Making sure you get a solution that is, again, not one size fits all, but is applicable to a particular establishment.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
So go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so or kind of move, because I'd like for you to kind of talk a little bit more, because it's interesting. We always think about just kind of the front end side of things, but the back of house is obviously super important for the success of a retailer. So how does Aptimyz's solution contribute to streamlining operations and improving efficiency for retailers?
So as part of the when you take a step back from a merchant or from in retail, like there's so many moving parts for these people, and being a retailer is hard. It's really, really, really hard. And for those who walk by and they see a lovely shop and they go in and say, "Oh, it's nice," or whatever, they don't realize the amount of effort that's gone into pulling all that together. And not just that, the staff, the ordering of stock, everything, the financial worries that go with it. So in terms of the back office management side of it, this is kind of it's the unseen piece that actually makes all the magic happen. But what's really important when they're running the back end is that what they put into it, the data that the information that's put in is put in correctly and managed correctly, because it's through the data that they get out of it, the reporting, that they can actually truly understand what they're doing well and what they're not. We've had the privilege of working with some incredible retailers and actually learning from them as we've gone and seeing, and you start to see trends in terms of, a really successful large organization, multi-location organization, compared to one that's, really struggling. And a lot of the time it's cash flow. It's just not being too tied down with stock. It's, so again, how do they do that? Min-max reordering, but having access to these reports. Again, it comes back to, if we make our system simple to use and they can put the stock and inventory in easily, that means that as they're selling it or getting returns or doing stock transfers, that really takes a lot of pressure and burden off them. And it means that they can actually rely on the data that they're using then to do that. So if it's a complicated system, what you'll find is not everybody in the business will buy into it, and then they'll stop using it properly. And then that's when it starts to unravel a bit.
And you mentioned kind of the multi-unit locations and things like that. We've been talking about flexibility, scalability, and the how they are of the essence in today's retail landscape. So could you maybe expand a little bit about how adaptable Aptimyz's solution
We
world.
started off. We
I
started off with one location, Kate. One location, one store, and we started with a store here in Ireland. Fabulous. Like we were. It was one of those days where we went in and they were looking for something. We managed to get them, but they've been with us since the very first day we actually turned on the software. Now, the very early days with the bugs and stuff, they were very patient. They got through all that, but we're here today with them. And I know from talking to them recently, since those days that we started, I think if they've doubled or 2.5 times the business volume that they were doing those days doing now. Now, I don't take credit for that. What I'm saying is that if you give good people the right tools, that makes their lives easier to do those things, they'll see results. And like, how they deal with their customers, how they treat their customers, that's really where, the magic sauce for those guys. They're amazing at that. But then we went from those kind of small opportunities into actually, it was when we went into Canada last year, 2.5 years ago. We went into Canada and we got a few locations, and then actually we signed up a large deal over there, our first really big one. And that comes with challenges with that too, because they do have, people within the organization will have very specific roles, which means they'll use very specific parts of your software, and then it needs to be refined and so on. So we've done all of that as well. And we built it in a way that you could scale it up. So whether your business is the size of a shoebox or an airport hangar, the system can scale elastically with that. So and in terms of the features and whatnot that are in there, we can grow that with the companies that we deal with.
I'm going to throw a question at you that I kind of want to hear, because it's I'm going to preface this. I do always prepare my guests for the podcast and don't normally do this, but I have an off the cuff question, so don't freak out on me. You see, you're very passionate about Aptimyz's solution. So what was the motivation for you to design Aptimyz? Was it something that you noticed when you went into a store and you're like, wow, it'd be really cool if it had something like this, or you had a pain point that someone was telling you about? Like, what's the birth of Aptimyz? Like, how did it come out?
We're in an age where the software that's there for us, we hear about AI will do this, AI will do that. But if you go back when we started this, let's say 6 years ago, we started with fashion, and we went into fashion. I actually spent 4 or 5 months sitting in the back office of a really big single location fashion store here in Ireland. And I suppose I look back, I can say I was lucky with some of the people that I got to meet on the journey that actually really helped and guide along the way. But these guys in particular, Eddie was the owner of the store, and he was like, look, Dave, whatever you want, come in and sit down. You can see what we do, how we operate. And I could see how things were going. I could see the legacy software. And legacy software isn't always bad, but it was kind of like, if I have to give the example, you said football, soccer earlier on, Maradona was the best of his time, but he's not now. And it's of its time. The hardware was, and the technologies that they were using were of their time. And we could see a lot of on-premise software. The migration to cloud hadn't happened really in a big way. And we thought, gosh, we could really streamline this and make this really easy for everybody, so that's where it kind of started. And then it was kind of the whole purpose of what we were trying to do is make this as easy as possible. It becomes obvious. All you have to do is spend any bit of time in stores talking to store owners or listening to podcasts of other founders or other companies that have gone into building a software package. Say, I listened to a really good one, and it was an accountancy package, and they were talking about how they had asked, and they actually went and spoke to the merchants after building these fabulous features. They actually then went and talked to the merchants and said, why aren't you using this? And they're, well, that's not fixing our problem. Our problem is this. So when you hear all these stories over time, really it's about making their lives easier. It's so if you take pressure off people, and this is true in life, if you take pressure off people, they start to bloom. If they can actually just exist in their own and operate without those kind of pressures. There's always a bit of pressure, but that's what we're hoping Aptimyz, as we grow this, will be able to do for retailers. Like in terms of innovation, and retail is an old established market. It's not a brand new blowing up market. It's a mature market. The technology that's been using it isn't, but so there's people have been doing what they've been doing for years and trying to bring in this new technology. And I think COVID, well, for the bads that we all are aware of, I think COVID did help with that shift away from on-premise or physical, machines, and there was a migration to, and obviously e-commerce took off and so on. So, how it all started, we started with one store. We started with understanding how we could make that better. And it's kind of like pulling on a string. Once you start pulling on it, you can't let it go. You have to keep going. So, and there's been some great days. There's been some really difficult days on this journey doing this as well. But, that's the same with everything you do. It's not always, it shouldn't always be easy. If it was that easy, no one else would be doing it. So
Yep.
that's what I was told.
Or everybody would be doing it, and then it doesn't make you unique. And no,
That's it.
I think it's, I hear your passion about your solution. I kind of wanted to get a little bit of a backstory. So I'd be curious to maybe hear about any success stories or case studies where retailers have implemented Aptimyz, your solution, Aptimyz solution, and experienced significant results. And I don't know if you can cater this towards the, because you said that you have a presence in the UK, but you're trying to you're expanding into Canada and the
So
US.
really, yeah, Canada is where we really pushed hard for the last 12 months with their support. Actually, we were in Ireland and the UK, and we got a call from one of the leaders from the Fiserv team over in Canada, Brian Green. Again, another very progressive guy. He wants to push things forward. He said, look, we have huge opportunities for retail here. We don't have much of a solution here for that. Would you guys be interested? And we're like, well, if you're going to work with us, 100%. And like, again, working with good people makes the difference. So, and that's where we went in there. And it was great to go there with the energy that it brings. But obviously then the challenges were scaling up things for Canada, building out a customer success team as well. Because like, it's not just about our product. We kind of, if you think about our core product in the software, we kind of feel like the outer shell is the customer success team, because they really help drive and support the customers. It's not just about support. It's like, before they even take the product, we're happy to spend as much time as a merchant wants to talk about what their needs are and understand that. We have stopped calls in the middle of it saying, this isn't for you. This won't work the way you want it to work. So let's stop here. So we're we start that journey like that. So at least when when we sign up customers, they know what they're dealing with, who they're dealing with, and we bring that through. So we had to do that for Canada as well, and obviously with French speaking Canada. So we had to build out our French speaking team, which was fun. I think that was all part of that journey towards that. What we're doing now into the US, I think May 2024 is the month where we go full tilt into the US for what we're doing. So yeah. So in terms of your question around use case studies or examples, yes, it's an Irish store, and I know that's an Irish store, but we all wear clothes. That was a fashion store. The experience of buying clothes, like when we're demoing. And it's funny the different languages that are used in the different regions around the world. So some of the features that we have, Irish merchants knew what they were called. UK didn't understand what that name was, so we had to change it to something else, where the actual American market knew exactly what that feature was called. It was the same as in Ireland. So there are the nuances across the different regions. But the Irish example of that first store, they're still with us. They've over doubled their sales. They're really going strong, and I think they'll just keep getting stronger and stronger. The best example, though, I think is it's a 60+ location business in Canada. It was a pet store, and we worked with those guys to the point now that they are flying. They're an example of when it's done right, it just flies. They're scaling up. I think they were talking about going to, well over 100, 150 locations over the next 18 months. That to be part of that journey. And we have very productive conversations with those guys. I only spoke to the owner this week, and we're talking about this things in work, and then you'll have hey guys, would you be interested, or would you think about doing this. And we go, okay, explain it to me. So, can we scale that up for other people as well? So, so the scalability side of things and examples of success, I find the success is not that we're actually taking all these numbers, it's that the numbers that we have are being successful. Yes, of course, as a business, we have to have profitability and we have to, grow. But I think the premise of what we do, I suppose when we come back to it, it's kind of like you have your North Star. And I suppose the core principles of our business, was customer centric success. We had innovation and we had reliability. And I think pulling them all together, if we kind of focus on that being what it is, then we know that we're going in the right direction. At the end of the day, people sign up with us. So, and they take it on, and it's a really, it's a privilege to take on any customer's business and say, thanks for trusting us. So
That's fantastic. And you got, it seems like a very loyal group of customers.
mhm.
So looking ahead, what future developments or enhancements can retailers expect from Aptimyz in terms of your solutions?
In the short term, we've got this new inventory module coming, as I said, obviously the iPad that we launched last week. We have another big piece on e-commerce. So we really are an omni-channel solution in that we do connect in with four of the largest, which would be Woo, Shopify, WooCommerce, Shopify, BigCommerce, Magento. And we have a huge update coming in that in the next 6 to 8 weeks. And that'll be where there'll be, instance syncing between in both directions. So if a merchant wants to play on Shopify or in WooCommerce with their inventory, we will be able to update on our end as well. Or photos, you put it in one place. You don't have to do it in both. And that's where a lot of people have a lot of struggles, is where, they're having to manage two businesses as opposed to just do it. And that's what we will have as effective at the end of May, which is really exciting because it's the next evolutionary step for all of that. The iPad, it just opens up many things. Obviously we started on the Clover platform with the Clover hardware, but I go back to what we're doing with Star Micronics. The mPOS is there now with the MC Print 3, like an amazing offering to give to merchants. They're reliable, they're easy to use, easy to set up, and they look great. At the end of the day, I think, when someone walks into a retailer shop, they're the old till systems. They all look the same, really. Where you have the possibility. I think it was actually a family member of mine walked into a shop where one of our solutions are, and they said the difference they felt was they were walking into, it was like a hotel lobby. It was kind of like you were at a reception. There was a difference in the vibe that people get when they go into the desk, and I think that's what we can do. And in terms of exciting roadmap stuff, it's not just about the new features that we can bring. I think it's taking what there exists today, because as I said, with the mature market, people do the same stuff every day. They manage their inventory, they have customers, they have loyalty, they have gift, they have all this stuff. How do you make what currently exists better as well? So we're constantly trying to evolve what we've got. And I think the inventory module is an example of that, because you can put inventory in today into Aptimyz. Is it as easy as what's coming? No, it's not. But that's why we went back and we listened to feedback, and that's where those kind of things evolve over time. But you look at what technologies are available that maybe can be utilized better to make things easier for merchants. The merchants shouldn't have to think about the technology. They should just be able to use it.
That's all amazing. So is there anything that I didn't ask you that you would like to discuss or cover, or do we cover it all?
I think we've covered an awful lot. I think at the end of the day, this is a really exciting phase for us. You guys, with Star Micronics, we're actually genuinely over the moon to be partnered with Star Micronics. It's a real privilege to be able to say that we're doing that, and to move into the US. We're looking at we're potentially looking at 48,000 locations over 3 years in the US. How do you do that? How do you achieve that? To achieve that, you really need to have the best in terms of partnerships. And with Star Micronics, Baseball, with Blue Star for the distribution side of things, that really is how you can achieve those kind of numbers. That has to be there's a whole pre-game that has to be worked out, and being able to have partners you can trust. I think that's the only way that can happen.
Well, we are so lucky and honored to be a partner of Aptimyz and to kind of help you with this journey, growing in the US and Canada, and of course in the UK, as you've already been experiencing.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing with the channel. That's why I'm so passionate about the channels. I love partnerships. I think that we were just talking before this started that, it does take a village, and it takes a village, whether it's for building hardware or software, or having a complete all-encompassing solution. And shoot, like you need partnerships too whenever you're living your life. Like they're everywhere. And so, don't burn a bridge, work with your partners, you do what you do best, and rely on those that where you fall short, having them to fill in those gaps for you on your behalf.
Yeah, I agree. And that's, look, it's really exciting to see what's going to happen next with all of this. So yeah, I'm absolutely thrilled that, the 3rd of May 2024, that we're at this position where we're just about to kick things off. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, so no, we'll have to have a follow-up episode in like a year or so and see how things are going, a little part 2.
Yep, I would love that.
Well, we will provide all of yours and Aptimyz's social media stuff and everything in the description. But for those that are just really quickly walking around, or maybe they want to find you, how can people connect with you?
So ideally, if people are looking, my email address is david.soden at aptimyz.com. You can find us on LinkedIn. We actually, the majority of our content and activity is on LinkedIn. So if you look for Aptimyz on LinkedIn, you'll find us and you can connect and follow. We do a lot of our communications through that. We'll see whether LinkedIn is all it's cooked up to be, but I think for sure it probably is the best way for us to actually just centralize all the information for everybody. So if you follow there, we'll have everything as we release things. Any further announcements with Star, we put everything there. So yeah, it's exciting.
Well, thank you for your time today, David. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to continuing the relationship with Star Micronics. And I'm glad that we were able to get some more details about what your solution is and how it supports the retail channel.
Thank you very much for having me on, Kate. It's it's nerve-wracking for someone who doesn't do it like you every day. So, but yeah, thank you very much for having us on. I really appreciate it.
Of course. And that's a wrap for this episode of the Rising Stars podcast. A huge thanks to our incredible listeners for tuning in, and to our phenomenal guests for sharing their insights. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, leave us a review. Let us know what you want to hear more about. Give us your feedback, because it fuels our journey to bring you the best in retail technology. Stay connected with us on social media for updates and behind-the-scenes content. As we sign off, remember the future of retail technology is in our hands, and together we're shaping it. Keep innovating, keep rising, and until next time, this is Kate Orara signing off. Together, we rise.